Hello everyone. Today I'll be doing a tutorial on how to rig a hand in Maya. Now what we'll be using the content browser in Maya to bring in a base sculpting mesh of a hand, and then we'll apply the joints to the hand. So what you need to do is that you go to Windows here, General Editors, and then over to the content browser. And it will bring you to the content browser which has all the assets for Maya. You want to select the sculpting based meshes on the biped, and you want to select the hand. To import the hand into Maya, you either double click or right click on the hand and import. In order to rig the hand successfully, you will need to position the hand horizontally where we can place the joints for the forearm and the hand. So what we're going to do, we're going to select the hand and rotate it in this direction so that we can place the joints on the forearm and the palm. What I'll also do for this viewport is go to Shading tab, click on X-ray. This will let the model become transparent so that we can see and place the joints. We will also need to put on the X-ray joints so that we can see the joints within the mesh. The next step is to go to quad view, and we're going to place the joints. Ensure that you're on the rigging shelf where we can apply the create joint button. So what we're going to do, we're going to start by clicking here. So the forearm will be right there, and we're going to place the hand right here. When you're finished with a joint hierarchy or a joint chain, you press enter on the keyboard to complete that chain. If you don't press enter, the chain will just continue. So right now we have the forearm, which controls the hand. The hand can rotate independently from the forearm. So by creating a chain, the forearm and the arm are parented together. Next, we're going to create the fingers. The fingers will be created in the side view. And right here, you want to ensure that wireframe shaded is on so that you can see the edge loop structure of the mesh. You can also select the joints and resize them if it is that they're out of place. So you can resize the palm of the hand here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one joint for the finger, then I'm going to duplicate duplicate the joint for the rest of the fingers. So I'll click on the create joint button in the rigging shelf, and I'm going to start here. So the joint would start right there. I have this the lower part of the finger, the middle part, and then the tip. So once we're finished with that chain, we press enter. I'm going to go over now to the perspective view to rearrange this. Now what we want to do is we want to position this joint. I'm using the perspective view to position the finger joint here. So I'm just going to align it in the same orientation that the mesh is in. And I'm using my move, rotate, and scale tools to position the joints. What you want to do now is you want to look around the object to ensure that it is properly aligned in the mesh. Because within the perspective view, it can be deceptive in terms of when you're looking from a particular angle, it might look as if it is within the hand, but you want to rotate around it to make sure that your joint is placed within the hand. I'm going to press Ctrl D on the keyboard and duplicate the joint. Now duplicate it and move it over with the move tool, and I'm going to realign it with the ring finger. Because we're duplicating it from the pinky finger, we have to resize the joints. So I have to resize it to fit the model for the ring finger. So I'm arranging this part here, rearranging this part, and I'm going to rotate it up a bit and align it properly. Alright, I'm going to then duplicate the finger again. This time it will be for the middle finger. So Control D on the keyboard, use my move tool, move it over and align the joint in this area like this. Um, so I'm going to move this up a bit because it's not properly aligned. So this part of the joint needs to be resized. I'm going to use my scale tool, resize it there, resize this part, and then resize the tip here. Once you see that the finger is properly aligned in the hand, you're going to click on it and duplicate it again and move it over here. Going to realign that part. Um, this part wants to be resized down because I'm duplicating it from the middle finger. Just make sure that it is aligned properly so that when we do the bind skin, the joint will be within the mesh. So now we're on to the thumb here. So what I'm going to do, duplicate the finger again, Control D, use my move tool and move it over. Now if you look at the orientation of the thumb, it's kind of oriented differently from the other four fingers. So what I'm going to do with this joint is I'm going to rotate it on this side like this. I'm just going to match it up with the orientation of the thumb. I'm going to move it closer here and I'm going to resize it so that the joints match up. I'm going to shrink that part. Let's move it over here. So if you realize I'm using the perspective view, at no stage should you place any of your joints in the perspective view. The perspective view should only be used to resize and rearrange your joints. You use the top view, the side view to place the joints for this hand, but only use the perspective view to rearrange the joints. So I want to make sure that this finger is properly placed. I'm going to bend this joint here and bend the tip of the thumb like that. So looking at the hand, we have all of our fingers, the palm of the hand and the forearm. The joints for those are placed. Now we know that the palm is already parented to the forearm of the hand. We only need to parent the five fingers to the hand. So I'm going to use my select tool and I'm going to hold down shift and select the five fingers. And I'm going to select the hand last. So whatever you select last will be the parent and the four objects that you select before will be the child. So remember, the parent is in control of the children. So wherever the parent goes, the children will follow. So and if you look here, you will notice that the hand is selected in green and the other five fingers are white. This means that when I press the P button on my keyboard, the five fingers will be parented to the hand. So what I'm going to do, without pressing anything else, I'm just going to press P by itself and we will see where it will create the connections with the five fingers. Now what you want to do, as soon as you parent it, you want to test if it works. So I select the hand here and when I go to my rotation tool, when I rotate the palm of the hand, the five fingers should follow. If I select the forearm here, the entire hand will move with the palm and the fingers. The next stage now is to bind the entire joints to the mesh, the hand mesh. So what you're going to do is that you're going to select the forearm. See that the forearm is the parent that controls everything. You're going to select the forearm joint. You're going to hold down shift and select the mesh last. So now we have the joint and mesh selected. We're going to do a bind skin process. Now, in order to get the function for the bind skin, you have to ensure that you are in rigging mode. If you're not in rigging mode, you will not see the function to bind the skin to bind the joints to the mesh. So ensure that you're in rigging mode. What you're going to do now is go to the skin function at the top, click on skin, and then you go down and you're going to click on bind skin. When you click on bind skin, if it is that you see no errors at the within your status bar, that means that you were successful. Another indicator that you were successful with the bind skin operation is if you see that the joints have the color scheme changes for the joint. So you will see rainbow colors like yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, purple. You see those different colors for the joint. That means that the binding skin was successful. What you'll need to do now is test to see how efficient the rig is. So I'm going to select the hand and I'm going to rotate it. And as you can see, when I rotate the joints here, the mesh follows. What I'm going to do now is going to test the fingers. So the index finger, that works. However, when I move the index finger, there is slight influence on the middle finger. So we'll have to do weight painting to correct that issue. But what you're going to do is to test each of the fingers to ensure that they're operational. So that part works. Test this part. So the process of weight painting will solve the slight movements of the fingers. But under exam conditions, we just want the finger to close into a fist. So I wouldn't focus on the weight painting under exam conditions. We want to just focus on getting the hand to close into a fist. And with the last part of this, the forearm, so that the entire hand is moving now. So in the next tutorial video, we will look at how to animate this hand, causing it to close slowly and then slam down on a surface.